Welcome to the Living with ME video series created by Patients Helping Patients. My name is Judy Ann Wilson, and I was diagnosed with ME in 2000.
My name is Karen McQueen, and I was diagnosed in 1997.
I'm Michelle Brown, and I was diagnosed in 2006.
This information series was created by ME patients for patients and their supporters. The group was inspired by Dr. Stein, and she has been our medical advisor throughout the entire process. We canvassed patients across Canada who had had this illness for many years and created an information series that would share with you what worked for them and how they learned to manage and improve their symptoms. This information series is provided in 3 parts. It is available to you in video and audio format, so you can access it at any time, any place, and any way that works for you. Before we begin, we need to clarify that for the purposes of this video series, we are not healthcare providers. Nothing we say in this video series is intended to be medical advice. We encourage you to check with your healthcare professionals before incorporating what you learned here into your healthcare plan. We'd also like to let you know that because we all have ME, we will mostly be reading the material that we have been sharing in classes over the last 3 years. ME needs ongoing recognition, research, and funding. In the meantime, what patients have been using is self-management strategies. We touch on most helpful areas of self-management patients have discovered and have provided a very comprehensive, high quality resource list you can reference for more detailed information. You can, of course, tailor it to your own needs. You will find it in the download link accompanying this video, along with the link to the slides. Our intent is twofold. First, to convey that ME is a serious illness that needs to be taken seriously. We hope others can avoid the mistakes we made and sometimes still make before we realized how very serious ME is. And our second intent is to offer hope. All of us have severe ME symptoms, and all of us, to varying degrees, have improved our quality of life. If anything you learn in this video series is upsetting to you, please reach out to your doctor, a therapist, friends, or family for support. This is part 1 of Living with ME, defining ME.
You may hear this illness called myalgic encephalomyelitis, or ME, myalgic encephalomyelitis chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME-CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, or CFS, chronic fatigue immune deficiency syndrome, or CFIDS, or systemic exertion intolerance disease, SEID. And for the purposes of our presentation, we're just going to refer to it as ME. Healthcare professionals know very little about ME. They don't know what it is, they don't know what causes it, and they don't know how to treat it. However, they do know that something is wrong with us. And in Canada, the illness has not only been defined, there's also a growing movement to educate healthcare professionals so that treatment will improve. It's important to note that ME expresses differently in each person. You may have mild, moderate, severe, or even very severe ME. How you experience ME may be different than it is for another person with the same level of illness. And what works for one person may be different for another. Promising research is happening, and efforts to increase research funding are growing throughout the world. Let's begin with the present Canadian consensus definition. This definition was developed in Canada in 2003 and is now used around the world. The first 4 starred symptoms are mandatory, and you must have symptoms and at least 2 of the remaining 3 in order to be diagnosed with ME. So let's go through those right now. Post-exertional malaise and fatigue is the loss of physical, mental stamina, post-exertional fatigue, malaise and or pain, and slower recovery time. For instance, it takes you greater than 24 hours to recover. Unrefreshing sleep, pain such as muscle aches, joint pain, abdominal pain, or new headache, neurological cognitive manifestations like problems with concentration and memory, slower thinking, easily overloaded by lots of things happening at once, or brain fog. Autonomic manifestations. The autonomic nervous system is a part of the nervous system that runs things automatically, such as your heart rate, breathing rate, blood pressure, body temperature, digestion and metabolism, urination and bowel movements. It can affect any body part or process, and some of the autonomic manifestations a person with ME might experience could be things like dizziness, irregular heartbeat, or irregular bowel and bladder, for instance. Neuroendocrine manifestations, like loss of temperature control, feeling too cold or too hot, or vulnerability to stress. And immune manifestations, such as tender lymph nodes or sore throat, flu-like symptoms, or sensitivity to medications and or chemicals. There was also a primer created for clinical practitioners by a team of doctors from around the world in 2014. And the primer and several other resources and information for your healthcare providers are available in our resource list that we've included in the download link accompanying this video. There's still no diagnostic tests specific to ME, so doctors will usually diagnose by taking a full history, eliminating all other known illnesses that relate to your symptoms, and then comparing your symptoms to this consensus definition. We were more interested in what patients were experiencing, so we asked them in this next video about symptoms.
Okay, the most challenging symptoms for me have been the impact on my brain.
Daily unremitting fatigue,
And one day I just couldn't get out of bed.
not being able to remember,
Food allergies and intolerances.
Feeling much older than my age.
Such intense debilitating pain, I want to die.
Debilitating vertigo attacks.
Dizziness and lightheadedness.
many kinds of pain, traveling, burning, stabbing,
Frequent falling. Muscle weakness.
Digestive issues.
Like diarrhea, cramps, bloating.
There's a lot of brain fog.
And at any time, I could totally forget a word.
Constant pain.
You're sleeping most of the time.
Being wired and being tired.
Weight gain. Weight loss.
Can't follow a plot of my favorite TV
Blood
shows.
pressure dropping and passing out.
The impact on my memory has been devastating.
I'll say the word banana when I mean chair.
Can't get to sleep and wake up several times a night. Heart palpitations and rapid heartbeat.
I have ringing in my ears.
Constant pressure in my head.
I couldn't focus.
Sensory overload. Too much noise, smells, light, stimulation.
Crashing even after doing the smallest thing.
Everything seems more stressful now.
I'm very susceptible to cold.
Can't do the simplest of things.
I want to have a normal life. It's a new normal, but it's a normal life.
Well, hopefully that video was interesting for you. And in addition to the points mentioned in that video, here are some other ones that patients told us about. And in particular, I'd like to talk to you about the last 2. having feelings of loss, grief, sadness, etc. The emotional impact of this illness can be very, very significant. And so if you are feeling emotions, know that you aren't the only one, and by all means, reach out for help to assist you, because this is a very, very difficult illness to have. The next point I want to emphasize is resistance to realities of the illness. Resistance almost always makes things worse. And what you're going to hear us telling you a number of times in this video series is you can't push through. So we'll move on and let you know that the good news is that you are not alone. According to Stats Canada, there are over 500,000 people in this country and over 3 million in North America diagnosed with ME. And of course, around the world, that number increases exponentially. It affects everybody, all ages, including children, all genders, races, personality types. Unfortunately, no one is immune from ME. We encourage you to connect with others. That really helps in not feeling alone. And Facebook is one way to do that. There are support groups you can join. Certainly doing a Google to find support groups for ME can be very, very useful. Now we'd like to share a video with you where patients talked about the impact ME has had on their lives.
People don't look at us and see that we're ill.
I had a job that was very challenging and totally reliant on my brain and my ability to think and be analytical and to focus. It was all about thinking, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
The month of December, I was sick for 28 days.
Can't be around strong smells, perfumes, or I get very, very sick.
I lost a career. I lost lots of friends.
I feel alone and isolated.
I get so discouraged.
I've had to give up so much.
A lot of my identity was focused on my job and what I was able to do there.
I feel alone and isolated.
Trying to make plans in advance are very difficult.
I sat down today to use the computer, and by the time I had the computer turned on, I had forgotten why I was sitting there.
I'm forced to spend my retirement fund just to live.
I can't do as much as I used to be able to do.
Living in constant pain is tiring and frustrating.
At times, I'm desperate for relief.
Laundry, housekeeping, all these things have to be fit in as my energy allows.
I don't even know if I'll ever get my life back.
I'm sad and I'm angry with my life, and it isn't what it used to be.
Unable to do many things I want to do.
I need to sleep or lie down for most of the day.
My quality of life is very low. On bad days, I feel suicidal. Life just isn't worth living.
Many tasks take much longer than they used to.
My social life has disappeared.
I'm easily overwhelmed.
You know, my activities are limited by the amount of fatigue that I feel.
Some days I can't even brush my teeth.
I had to give up things I like travel and sports and going to events. I can't do as much as I used to be able to do.
Sometimes I'm too tired to even think about food.
I'm easily overwhelmed.
Showering can be too exhausting. Can't wash my hair as often as I want.
I can't drive anymore. I've lost my independence. My family doesn't believe I'm ill.
My spouse and children, they don't understand. I've lost my dream job. I'll never get it back.
I've become very unreliable, often canceling plans.
People that look at me and see me as having a normal life, they have no clue.
And accepting the limitations is very difficult, very difficult.
This illness sucks.
So, just a couple more points. Not every symptom you have may be due to ME. It's really important for us to mention that, because the symptoms for ME are so wide and varied. It can be easy to miss other things that might be going on at the same time. So if you have symptoms that do not appear on the list, or your symptoms change suddenly or a lot, make sure you talk to your doctor to see what else might be going on.
I love that ending. This illness truly does suck. These are the most common and important things that patients across Canada told us they wish they had known when their symptoms first began. We begin by talking about acceptance, and what was mentioned numerous times by every one of the patients we talked to was that until they came to a point where they totally accepted what was going on in the moment for them with this illness, they had nowhere to begin and start to actually heal. The more we push through the fatigue and the more we keep pushing past the pain and other symptoms, the worse they will get. The main message every patient we talked to told us was that continuing to ignore symptoms, especially during the initial onslaught, made everything worse and delayed recovery. Even though fully accepting ME is very difficult, and we've all experienced how hard that is, once patients accepted their condition, most of them reported being able to slowly change things and improve their quality of life. Please remember, this is not our fault. However, it is our responsibility. And if you want your life to improve, that responsibility needs to be addressed. You will need to be willing to make changes and experiment to see what works best. What works best for you and what works best for you in relationship to other people and things around you. This presentation will give you some tools that have helped many patients, and we strongly suggest you look through the resource guide available on the same page of this video. As far as validation goes, something that was mentioned quite often to us as well was that many patients we heard from said that they felt like they had wasted a great deal of their energy and time trying to explain to doctors, healthcare professionals, family, and friends what they were experiencing. Yet they often were left feeling invalidated and not heard. We all need to work with doctors and support people, but it can be very difficult and usually impossible for others to understand something that they have not experienced themselves. If you feel like you are banging your head against the wall, best to stop. Don't continue to put energy into anything that is not helping you feel better. Connecting with yourself and expanding your self-awareness will be the greatest asset to your recovery. ME forces us to do this. We need to start asking ourselves those personal questions. What makes me feel better? What makes me feel worse? How can I keep active but not overdo things and create a flare-up? Am I feeling stressed? What feels stressful? And the most important thing that patients wanted to hear when they were in so much pain that they wanted to die or so confused they wanted to hide under the covers all day was never give up. No matter what it takes, never give up. Many told us they came to the point where they felt hopeless, useless, and or a weight on their families, friends, and community. Some of us even considered suicide. The pain, fatigue, and cognitive issues can be extremely embarrassing and overwhelming. To say nothing of the financial strains and stresses that can occur because you're unable to work, take care of your children, or clean your home. Times may get very hard, but don't give up. We hope that you will hear something in our videos that will be helpful. If you ever feel like giving up, please seek help. Reach out to a friend, a family member, or a doctor, professional, or a crisis line. This illness for sure, is not worth dying over. There is more research taking place every day, and finances are starting to be directed towards research in this area. The self-management techniques we're going to cover in the next video have greatly increased many patients' well-being. In part 2 of Living with ME, we will share more information on self-management.